What I got here is a 1967 Mustang Convertible. And what I have back here is a 2015 Generation 2 Coyote 5.0 MT82 transmission. I got the shifter off of it for now. Motor mounts. I've already had it in the car. You've probably seen. You hear a lot about Coyote swaps, but nobody that I can find has really solved the pedal problem the way I want to solve it. The pedal problem being it's a hydraulic clutch. It's also a drive-by-wire, so the pedal, gas pedal, is electric, and I want power brakes on the car. So you'll see shock towers normally would be here, deleted, IFS, coilovers. The Coyote will not fit between the stock shock towers, so they have to be deleted. It's all done on this car. Had a brand new firewall, brand new floor pan, which I had to cut to make room for the MT82. Kind of cut that on the fly. It's a little ragged right now. I'm not too worried about it. I'll get that cleaned up as time goes on. The real problem is there's no room for a brake booster. This line you see right here is the outside edge of the head. And it sits, I should have got some film of it before I pulled the motor, but it sits really tight. I mean, you can see I had to notch this lip on the cowl to let, there's a heater core hose that comes over here that I had to, it's so tight, I had to cut that lip out of there. So at the end of the day, all this needs to change. I'm trying to accommodate the entire pedal assembly, both clutch brake, which is one unit, and the gas pedal and brake booster all the same. So my idea was to build basically an adapter plate. I know it's really heavy gauge steel, but it was easy to work with, and I had it. So I had to do some machining. I'll take it apart and get some film of that as well. But you can see here, this is the, I'm gonna call it the master cylinder for the clutch. It uses shares the same reservoir as the brake master cylinder. Of course, brake master cylinder and booster. Depending on how you measure this, I think this is the 10-inch body outside. And you can see on the firewall over there, I do not have 10 inches by any stretch of the imagination. So drilled some holes, had to build up a little back plate. I think I did not pull this out of the actual car, it came out of the 2015. But I think what happens is there's these little necks like you see right here that stick out. I think there's bigger holes in the firewall, and then there's like rubber grommets, and these things bolt through. There's a steel sleeve inside there, and then I just bolt it through that rubber grommet. So it probably takes vibration out of the pedals, I'm assuming is what it's for. But I did not have those. I really didn't want to do that, so I built this up, and then I was about 50 thousandths or so shy, because this master cylinder needs to butt right up against that collar back here. And so I ended up with a piece of rubber stock that's about 60 thousandths, and worked fine. I've got, there's two positions on this switch, normally open. The outside are normally open, the inside two are normally closed. It's functioning as it should. Very small amount of the pedal movement actually kicks the, changes the positions on the switches. So everything else seems to be working fine. I think, after hindsight building it, I think the angle on this gas pedal is wrong. You see this is set to be straight up and down here, where the, in front of the clutch. But on the brake side, it had an angle built into the bracket. I also had to trim the top off of the stock bracket. There were two pins here that are like a dash support. This would be kind of help support the dash on top. Trimmed that off and built the bracket. Just put a single 5/16 button head in the top of that. But I think the angle on this gas pedal is wrong. I think once I get it in there, I'm probably going to have to relief cut this, slit it, bend it out, and put a little wedge piece in there to allow the gas pedal to come out. The angle just seems wrong, as well as the floor pan, I think, is going to come into here, and it's not going to allow that to move. As you can see, there's really not a lot of movement in that gas pedal. All right, so I'll pull this apart. Had to use the old Bridgeport to mill some slots and some pockets and make some clearance for the booster, but Overall, I think it's in pretty good shape. I have taken and marked the center of the stock brake pedal, which lines up right with the steering column hole, and then the bottom of the brake pedal is right there. So I kind of have a reference point as I cut. And I'm going to try to get, it's going to take a while, a lot of just trial and error, but also going to have to cut, I'm going to have to cut this section of the apron out to make room for that booster to sit on the outside of the apron. And then I think I'm going to take a piece of 10 gauge. I want something pretty heavy. I got a guy, I think, that's got some set of rolls, and we're going to roll it. And then I'll just make a little pocket for that to sit in. As long as I stay inside of this body line right here, body line, I guess, but this rib, I think that's been allowed for the as the car turns, it allows that tire to swing in. I'm gonna put a tire on that's probably got about 27-ish inches of diameter. So I gotta stay inside of 13.5 with suspension travel. Shouldn't be a lot of travel on that shock, but I'll do a little measuring as time goes on. So that's the plan. I'll take this apart, get a little video of that, and then I'll take some shots as I go. I'm making this video because I just can't find a lot of resource out there. People say Coyote swaps are really common, but I don't see a lot of them putting them in these old cars like this. At least if they are, I'm not seeing a lot of instruction on, or a lot of pictures about how people accomplished it. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but this is how I'm going to do it. All right, so the assembly I showed you earlier has been disassembled. You can see this slot right here I machined to allow this, which is the back master cylinder for the clutch. Just hold it up there. It feeds in. Got the bolts in like such. This little seal. This little seal right here, this little foam, nicely seals up against their sound and water. Keep that out. Brake booster. Oh, sorry, brake booster comes in through here. And then this is that piece, lays on top, single button head screw right there. Just helps for support. My camera work is crappy, but you'll get the point. So the idea is cut this hole in the firewall, lay it up there, start welding it in. It's not perfect, there's still a lot that needs to be added to it, but until I get the hole cut and find out exactly where the curvatures of the firewall lay out, I can't do much more with it here on the bench. So that's where I am. Stay tuned.